All right, let's talk about what is, without a doubt, the ultimate mission for every single living thing on this planet. We're talking about reproduction. It's the engine that drives life itself, the reason any species is still around today, from the tiniest microbe to the biggest blue whale. So how does it all work? Let's get into it. So before we get into all the nitty-gritty details, let's just zoom out and ask a huge question. What's the one thing, the one single challenge that every living organism has to solve? I mean, from bacteria all the way up to us. What's the mission? It's actually pretty simple when you think about it. It's all about making sure there's a next generation. Okay, so here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to look at life's ultimate mission, then dive into two main strategies: the clone strategy, which is asexual reproduction, and the variety strategy, or sexual reproduction. After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of cell division, see how all this stuff impacts our world, and wrap things up with an exam-ready check to make sure you've got it all down. All right, first up, let's talk about the simplest, most straightforward way to keep the family line going. What if you could just make a copy? That's basically what asexual reproduction is. It's life's clone and go approach, super fast and super efficient. And this whole cloning thing isn't a one-size-fits-all deal. There are a few different ways it happens. You've got fission, where something like a paramecium literally just splits itself in two. Boom. Now there are two of them. Then there's budding or fragmentation. And I bet you've seen spore formation before, right? That mold you find on old bread? That's it. In the plant world, this whole copy-paste job gets a fancier name: vegetative propagation. Now this is where it gets really cool, because we humans have figured out how to use this for ourselves. We've basically hacked plant reproduction. A great example is layering. Let's say you have a plant with amazing fruit. Well, you can just take a branch, bend it down, bury a section in some soil, and wait. New roots will start to grow from that buried part. Once they're established, you just snip it off from the parent plant, and voila, you've got a brand new plant that's an exact clone of the original. But making perfect copies isn't always the best idea. There's a huge risk. If everyone's a clone, they're all vulnerable to the same things. One nasty disease could come along and wipe out the entire population. So nature came up with a much more creative and risky solution: sexual reproduction. It's all about creating variety. So if we put them side by side, you can really see the difference. Asexual is the speed demon, right? One parent, quick and easy clones. Sexual reproduction, on the other hand, is a bit slower. It takes two parents, but its absolute superpower is creating genetic variation. Every offspring is unique, and that variation, that's the key to adapting and surviving in a changing world. And when you look at flowering plants, this whole process is just, wow, it's so clever. It's called double fertilization. It's like a 2-for-1 special. See, one male nucleus fuses with the egg, and that creates the zygote, the baby plant. But then a second male nucleus fuses with another part to create something called the endosperm. And the endosperm is basically a packed lunch for the embryo. It's the food supply that keeps it going until it can fend for itself. Just brilliant. Okay, now let's switch gears to humans. Here, the systems are, you guessed it, pretty specialized. Let's just trace the path of sperm for a second. They're produced in the seminiferous tubules inside the testes, and the testes are held in the scrotum, which is this amazing biological design that keeps them a little cooler than the rest of the body, which is absolutely essential for making healthy sperm. After they're made, they get stored in the epididymis, and then they travel through the vas deferens, mix with some important fluids, and then they're ready to go. All right, so we've got the big strategies down: cloning versus variety. But what's the actual machinery that makes all this happen? What's going on at the microscopic level? While the engine room for both of these strategies, the thing that powers it all is cell division. And our understanding of this didn't just appear overnight. It was this amazing journey of discovery. It all started way back in 1852, when Robert Remak first saw cells dividing. Then in 1879, Walter Fleming described these string-like things, splitting, and gave it the name mitosis. A little later, in the 1890s, those strings finally got a name: chromosomes, which means colored bodies. But the real bombshell, the moment it all clicked, was in 1953, when Watson and Crick figured out the structure of DNA itself. And this discovery led to a really big puzzle. I mean, think about it. If a human sperm cell has 46 chromosomes, and an egg cell also has 46, wouldn't the baby have 92? And then their kids would have 184. The number would just keep doubling with every generation. But it doesn't. So what's going on? How does life solve this math problem? The answer is just so elegant. There are two different types of cell division. You've got mitosis, which is like your body's photocopier. It's for growth, fixing things, and asexual reproduction. It makes two daughter cells that are genetically identical with the same number of chromosomes. But then there's meiosis. This one is special. It's only for making sex cells, gametes, and its whole job is to go through 2 rounds of division to cut the chromosome number in half. That way, when the egg and sperm finally get together, the new zygote has the perfect complete set. It's an absolutely brilliant solution.
Okay, let's step back from the microscope for a minute. Because reproduction isn't just about biology, right? It has huge implications for our health, our society, and our future. Because sexual reproduction involves such close contact, we have to talk about reproductive health. It's a way that diseases can be transmitted. We're talking about bacterial infections like gonorrhea or syphilis, and also viral infections like AIDS. So being aware of this and making healthy, responsible choices is just absolutely key. And this topic also shines a light on a really critical social issue. The practice of female foticide has led to a really alarming drop in the female child sex ratio in some places. Now, the government has passed laws to stop this, for sure, but it's also a social responsibility for every single one of us to make sure this doesn't happen. Today's girl child could be tomorrow's world leader, right? Okay, we have covered a ton of ground. So, you think you're ready? Let's put that knowledge to the test and see if you're exam ready.
All right, here's a multiple choice challenge. The scrotum helps in maintaining the low temperature of the testes, which is necessary for what? A, fertilization, B, sperm formation, C, ejaculation, or D, urine transport. We talked about why that cooler temperature is so important. Take a second. Got your answer? If you said B, sperm formation, you are spot on. Nicely done. And that brings us full circle, right back to the idea of variety. We've seen how sexual reproduction is this incredible engine for creating variation, which is what helps species adapt and survive. So I'll just leave you with this one last thought. In a world that is changing so fast, what does that mean for our future on this planet? How important is that variety for the survival of every species, including our own? Thanks for watching.